Here's three quarterbacks I'm going to drop this week heading into week 8 of the fantasy football season. And the first guy's Cam Newton. Now we've seen the last 2 weeks, Cam Newton, he just cannot get things going at all. And Newton, again, another piss poor performance yesterday versus the 49ers in Foxborough. Newton, he was just off target. His throws weren't getting there. He threw a lot of ground balls. He had 3 interceptions, I believe. Newton had just a horrible day. It was for Cam Newton last week too versus Denver, but we were giving him the excuse of that he came off having COVID-19 and he wasn't all there 100% and the team not practicing after 2 weeks of no practicing. But Cam Newton, he was a horror show out there and he just couldn't get things done. Was Newton. So if you're out there, you could drop him, man. I don't trust Cam Newton anymore. I know he'll get your rushing yards and stuff, but is it even worth it to have him on your team? There's better quarterbacks on the free agent list. I gave you guys to pick up. Newton had negative .18 yesterday, and times are just going to get tougher out there for Cam Newton. So he's the first guy I'm going to shift away from. The second guy's Gardner Minche. I know he's putting up fantasy points, but there's quarterbacks I'd rather have out there than Minshew anyway. There's a bunch of them. So Minshew, he came off a decent game. He had 23 fantasy points, but the Jaguars were thinking of benching him anyway. So I would cut him off my roster as well as Minshew. He's going on bye anyway this week. Jacksonville, their receivers have been struggling. DJ Chark, he didn't show up yesterday. Keelan Cole, it was mostly the James Robinson show. So Gardner Minche, he's a guy I'm going to drop going into week 8. Like I said, he has the bye. There's better options out there on the free agent market like Garoppolo, Baker Mayfield, Joe Burrow, if you're lucky enough to have him out there. So he's definitely gone off my roster, and I can't see him making much of an impact as a top 12 quarterback for the rest of the year, especially with the bye weeks being over. So Minshew magic is over. I would drop him. And the third and final guy I'm going to drop, and I don't know how he's even on 25% of rosters, is Andy Dalton. We saw him get knocked out of yesterday's game. He got his top blown off versus the Washington football team, and he could not move the ball. The Dallas offensive line, 4 out of the 5 starters are hurt, and they just can't get nothing going. Receivers dropping passes. Dalton holding on to the ball too long as well. So it was just a total nightmare for that Cowboy offense. And Andy Dalton, he's got to be dropped if he's on your roster. So that's 3 quarterbacks I'm dropping heading into week 8 of the fantasy football season.